Hello everyone, welcome to the TeachNest YouTube channel. So here today we will discuss about the plant nutrition or nutrition in plants. So dear learners, so before we start, let me ask you one simple question. Have you ever seen a plant eating food like we do? Does a mango tree eat a rice? Does a plant drink a milk? The answer is no. So then how do plants get their food? How do plants they get their food? Plants are living things. We know that plants are living things. So they grow, they reproduce and carry out life processes just like animals. Therefore, they also need a food. But But unlike animals, plants do not move from one place to another to search for a food. They cannot move or do not move from one place to another to search for a food. So instead, plants prepare their own food. Instead, plants prepare their own food. So that is why the plants are called autotrophs. The plants are called autotrophs, which means self-feeders. The autotrophs meaning is self-feeders. So today we will learn how plants make their own food and why this process is important for life on earth. So we will discuss why this process is important for life on earth. So here first we'll understand the fundamentals of nutrition. Next, we'll decode the machinery of photosynthesis. Then we'll see how food travels inside a plant. Next, we'll see uh, plants that hunt insects and steal the food. Okay. So now, what is nutrition? What is nutrition? Nutrition is a process. Nutrition is a process by which living organisms obtain food and use it for living organisms obtain food and use it for growth, energy, and repair the damaged parts, and also for the protection or maintaining the life process. For maintaining the life process. So all living organisms need a nutrition. Even animals obtain food from plants or other animals. But plants prepare their own food. Therefore, the mode of nutrition in plants is called autotrophic nutrition. So here we need a nutrition. What we'll get from the nutrition? What is there in the nutrition or food? So we have carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals. So this all this 4 to 5 things, everything is there in the nutrition or a food. So what we'll get from this? From this we'll get energy, growth, and to repair our body and to protect our body from the diseases. So how distinct path of survival happens in the uh, plants and in the animals. So the self feeders are called autotrophics, whereas other feeders are called heterotrophics. Here in the autotrophic, the example is plants, whereas in the heterotrophs the example is animals and humans. Okay. So now auto means self, tropos means nourishment. How the So autotrophs are self-sustaining producers. Autotrophs are self-sustaining producers. So organisms that synthesize their own food from simple inorganic substances. Okay, from simple inorganic substances. Now we'll see how do plants prepare their food. Hmm? How do plants prepare their food? Plants prepare their food through a process called photosynthesis. They prepare their food from the process called photosynthesis. So the word photosynthesis comes from two words. Photo means light, whereas synthesis, to make or to combine, the fundamental process by which green plants make their own food using sunlight. So photo means light, synthesis means to combine or to make. Therefore, synthesis, photosynthesis means making food using sunlight. Making the food using sunlight. So what this photosynthesis uses? So plants uses sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide and the chlorophyll to prepare the food. What all they use? They use sunlight, that is the source of energy. The second one is chlorophyll. So what does chlorophyll does? It does is it catches the energy. Hmm? The sunlight is the energy source, whereas the chlorophyll catches the energy. The third one is carbon dioxide, so gas from the air. So how the humans take oxygen from the air, so plants take carbon dioxide from the air. Again, the one more is water, so liquid from the soil. So they'll absorb the water from the earth or soil, we can say. So the food, what after what is the food here? The food here is glucose. The food produced is glucose. It is a type of sugar. So what is sunlight? Sunlight is the ultimate source of power that drives the chemical reaction. That drives the chemical reaction. Whereas chlorophyll is it is the green pigment. This chlorophyll will be inside the leaves only. So it is the green pigment that acts as a microscopic solar panel to trap light energy. So what all we need for the photosynthesis here is, first one is, as we already seen, first one is sunlight. What does the sunlight does? Do sunlight is the main source of energy. So we discuss now. So without sunlight, plants cannot prepare their food. Just as mobile phone needs electricity to charge, plants also need sunlight to make a food. The second one is water. So what happens with the water? Plants absorb water from the soil through their roots. Okay. Then the tiny root hair helps to absorb water efficiently. So water is transported to leaves through the stem. Next, the other one is carbon dioxide. What does carbon dioxide do here? Carbon dioxide. So plants take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So then the tiny openings called stomata are present on the surface of the leaves. So stomata are present on the surface of the leaves. Through the stomata, the carbon dioxide enters the leaf. Next is leaves, chlorophyll. So what does chlorophyll do here? Chlorophyll leaves contain a green pigment. Hmm? A green pigment called chlorophyll. What does chlorophyll do here? Chlorophyll traps the sunlight or catches the sunlight. That is why most leaves appear green. So most leaves appear green. So without chlorophyll, photosynthesis cannot occur. So without chlorophyll, photosynthesis cannot occur. So how this process takes place? How this process takes place? So now let us understand what happens inside a leaf. What happens inside a leaf? The leaf acts as a small food factory. The leaf acts as a small food factory. So inside the leaf, what happens? The carbon dioxide enters through the stomata. The carbon dioxide enters through the stomata. Then this water comes from the roots. This water comes from the root. Then this chlorophyll captures the sunlight. This chlorophyll captures the sunlight. Using these materials, the plant prepares the food. Here, the food produces glucose. At the same time, what happens? The oxygen is released into the atmosphere. Oxygen released into the atmosphere. So we can simply write it as carbon dioxide plus water plus sunlight, and in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, what we'll get? Glucose and oxygen is released in the atmosphere. So the whole process, we are calling it as the photosynthesis. So what is the importance of photosynthesis here? Photosynthesis is a very important because first one is to produce a food. The next one is to release oxygen. So to produce food, plants prepare food for themselves. We know that. Plants prepare food for themselves. So this food is also becomes the source of food for animals and humans. First, plants prepare their own food for themselves. So then that same food also becomes the source of food for the animals and human also. So the second one is releasing oxygen. During the photosynthesis, oxygen is released. So humans need oxygen for breathing. We all know that humans need oxygen for breathing. So without plants, life on earth would not be possible. So without plants, life on earth would not be possible. So what happens during this process? It maintains the balance in nature. Plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. This helps maintain the balance of gases in the atmosphere. So here guard cells control the factory gates. Guard cells control the factory gate. In the macro view, we can see how stomata. This is the stomata. So what does stomata here is a tiny pores on the underside of leaves for the gas exchange. So they are ready here for the gas exchange. Next one is here the guard cells in the microwave. In the microwave, the same process is in the microwave we are seeing here. It is taking the carbon dioxide and releasing the oxygen. It is taking the carbon dioxide and releasing the carbon dioxide. So what happens here? Swell to open the pore for a gas exchange and shrink to close it, preventing unwanted water loss. Here, two-way elevator system for the transport. So how this transportation takes place? What happens here? The food is manufactured in the leaves but must be delivered to stems, roots and flowers. Then here the transports the water up. From the roots it is absorbing and transferring it to the up, from the roots to the factory. From the roots to the factory. Then the phloem transport food, glucose, down and around to all parts of the plant. Down and around all parts of the plant. So what are the other modes of nutrition in plants is, so most plants make their own food. So however, some uh, some plants obtain food differently. So we can say it as, so some plants lack chlorophyll entirely or live in a poor conditions. So they are unable to make their own food and they depend on the other plants, dead matter or animal to survive. So first one is parasitic plants. What is parasitic plants here? So these plants depend on other plants for the foods. So example here is Cascata, dodder. Also we can say dodder. So it has a yellow thread like stem and it takes food from the another plant. So another we have sap. Do here is they steal from living hosts. So what how does mechanism takes place here is, so plants that live on or inside another living plant. Okay, so that is the host. Then they extract water and nutrients directly from the host's vascular system, often harming it. Then the example for this is Cuscata, umbrella, amarbel. Okay, so a yellow leafless vine with no chlorophyll. So this is it. So here it is a nutrient extraction. Here it is hostorium, host. You can say host. So this yellow part is giving the nutrition to this uh, this plant, that is parasitic plants. Now one more is saprotropes, saprophytic plants we can say. What happens in these saprophytic plants? Some plants obtain nutrients from the dead or decaying matter. Dead or decaying matter. So they absorb nutrients from the organic material. They absorb nutrients from the organic material. So here we can see. So this is how it recycles from the dead to, from that they are already dead but giving nutrients to the uh, another plants like a saprotropes. So obtain nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. So they secrete digestive juices outside their bodies to dissolve solid matter into liquid solution. So examples are here mushrooms, fungi and bread mold. Bread mold. So one more is insectivorous plant. So this insectivorous plants, what it does here is, some plants grow in nitrogen poor soil. So some plants grow in a nitrogen poor soil. So what they do, they trap insects and digest them. They trap the insects and they digest them. Example pitcher plant and Venus flytrap. So they still perform photosynthesis but obtain extra nutrients from the insects. So from the sunlight, from the photosynthesis process, they get the food. But to get the extra energy, what they do here is they uh, get they they trap this insects through this leaf. Okay. So example pitcher plant or Venus flytrap. Okay. So next one is symbiosis is mutually beneficial partnership. What is symbiosis means? So mutual understanding. With the mutual understanding, they grow in the environment. So two different organisms living together and sharing the same shelter and nutrients. Both are getting benefit. Neither is it is harmed. So here we can see it it is harming the host. So this yellow part is a host, so it is harming it. So in saprotropes it is getting the nutrients from the dead or decaying organic matter, but here it is also in insectivorous, it is trapping the insects, so it is also ending the uh, one insect life. But here, so no harm is doing, so both are getting benefit in the same shelters, both are getting nutrients. So example for this is algae and fungus. So what they do here is, so it provides a food, food from the photosynthesis, and it provides water and shelter. So what is the result here is lichen. The perfect biological partnership is doing, so that is we call symbiosis. Symbiosis. So what all we learned in this class is, so nutrition, we know nutrition is the process of obtaining and using the food, and plants prepare their own food. So this mode of nutrition is called autotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition. So plant prepare food by photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Photosynthesis requires sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, and chlorophyll. Okay. So oxygen is released during the photosynthesis. So uh, where they transport this food, they transport it to the xylem and phloem. So some plants show special modes of nutrition such as parasitic, insectivorous, saprotropic, and symbiotic nutrition. So dear learners, so plants are the primary producers on the earth. So they are primary producers on the earth. So they provide food and oxygen for all the living organisms. Whenever you see a green leaf, think of it as a tiny solar powered food factory working silently to support life of our planet. What you have to do is, whenever you see a green leaf, think of it as a tiny solar powered food factory working silently to support a life on our planet. So this is about it, nutrition in plants. So thank you for watching. Okay, please subscribe to the channel for more videos related to the science, maths, and other languages also, other subjects also.